Okay, perfect. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you so much to those of you that are joining us here live. I'm going to go over first the agenda for the day. We have a lot to cover today, but I'm really excited for everything that we're going to be talking about. So we are first going to be talking about the market opportunity for T-Shape 2. So what is really driving demand for this type of a treatment and this type of a device. Then I'm going to introduce you to the T-Shape 2 system and break down what it is that makes it different amongst all the other devices in the industry. I'm then going to show you a quick demo and some before and afters along with some key clinical data and insights. And then last but certainly not least, we're going to close with a live Q&A panel featuring 4 of our absolute powerhouse providers. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So in terms of speaking about market opportunity when it comes to aesthetics, obviously, as you all know from working in the industry, or if you're just breaking into the industry, there's really been a clear shift that's been happening in this space in the past few years, particularly starting this year. So we are seeing a massive surge of the usage of weight loss drugs in the aesthetic market. So you can see based on these charts, we won't go too deep here, but the role of weight loss drugs, particularly in the US market, has grown exponentially and is projected to continue to grow, reaching, sorry, I'm zooming in on my own slide, $51 billion by 2030, which is up from $2.4 billion in 2022. So this is a massive growth, and in turn is a massive opportunity for non-invasive treatments that are impacting the side effects that these treatments are not necessarily looking out for fully. So the real opportunity here is things that used to be considered more quote unquote mature aesthetic concerns are now showing up in patients in their 20s and 30s. So for example, when clients are on semaglutides like Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, what they are experiencing is massive volume loss, so massive fat loss. So they are really seeing those results in terms of the reduction of fat and the reduction of weight. So they're seeing that medically induced weight loss. But what's not being accounted for is that with that weight loss comes volume loss, comes loss of muscle tone. And if it's not accompanied with a very regimented and very diligent program of eating correctly, eating enough protein as well as weightlifting to build up that muscle back, they are really addressing and really, not addressing and really seeing significant skin laxity, especially in areas like face, arms, stomach, and the butt. And it's really affecting people's view of themselves. They've gone through this massive transformation with the semaglutides, but they're left feeling in some cases even less confident than they were before because they're left behind with a lot of loose skin and lumpiness and just overall that loss of muscle tone and loss of volume. So we all know that terms like Ozempic face and Ozempic butt have gone mainstream, trending hugely across social media as well as search engines. And that is really reflective of both the awareness and urgency for consumers that are looking for solutions. So the opportunity here really is that this trend is broadening the addressable market for aesthetic services, particularly non-invasive aesthetic services. Many people that are now seeking treatments wouldn't have previously considered visiting med spa, but with the rise of these GLP-1s, providers who offer this powerful non-invasive solution to skin tightening, contouring, as well as lymphatic support, which we'll talk about a little bit further, are seeing a real surge in that new clientele and revenue. And I just love this quote from Dr. Johnny Franco, who is a member surgeon of the American Association of Plastic Surgery. And he says, this is what we call the Ozempification of aesthetics. And if you take a look at, like I do in my spare time, all of the plastic surgery publications, dermatology publications, particularly those that are being released in the past month, the past few months, they are all talking about the need to address these issues. So they're really urging surgeons and other more invasive practitioners to get on board to make sure that they're really providing a holistic approach to weight loss and in turn to skin laxity and skin tightening. So why Artemis? Why now? Why us? And why T-Shape? We have looked at hundreds of devices. Our founder, Simon Mansell, as well as our founder, Lauren Mansell, discovered Artemis back in 2017 when they happened upon our original device, which was at the time known as CryoSkin. Since then, we've been approached by many global manufacturers, as well as many sort of devices that are each touting various things, right? So we have really scoured the globe, and I can speak to that given I've been with Artemis for 8 years. We have scoured the globe for key treatments for these indications that can be really complicated, such as skin laxity and such as cellulite. And those were two indications that prior to finding T-Shape 2, we hadn't really nailed yet. We hadn't really seen any technology or any device that was really approaching these issues in a well-rounded way, in a way that was actually driving consistent results and in a way that was working smarter and not harder. So that's one thing that you'll hear me say consistently throughout this webinar, is that T-Shape 2 works smarter, not harder. It is not a jack of all trades. It is a true master of proven technology. And so in order to properly introduce you to T-Shape 2, I'm going to play just a brief video to give you an introduction into the technology before we dive in a little bit deeper. The top-selling cellulite and skin tightening device in Italy is finally coming to the US.
It's clinically proven to increase the muscle to fat ratio by 23%, which makes your skin look fuller and tighter.
It delivers these results by combining 4 tested technologies into one super system. These technologies are mesospheres, low-level laser technology, vacuum suction, and radio frequency. The radio frequency has 4 different wavelengths.
0.5 megahertz and 1 megahertz simultaneously work on fat and connective tissue, improving even heavy cellulite. 1.5 and 2 megahertz tighten skin and improve collagen production in the face.
If you're looking to offer your client something that they're going to be super excited about and generate revenue for your company, T-Shape 2 will be undoubtedly successful.
So that video just gives you a little taste of what we're going to talk about. And now we're just going to dive in a little bit deeper to these technologies, the system, and why it's different from other devices on the market and those that we have seen, we have tested, we have tried, we have reviewed. So when we talk about T-Shape, we talk about 6 handpieces, 4 technologies, and 1 super system. So T-Shape 2 is a Class 2 FDA cleared system that brings together multiple modalities into one intelligently designed device. What makes it so powerful compared to other devices on the market is that each handpiece delivers a synergistic blend of technologies. So it is not that one handpiece does one thing, another. It is that all of these handpieces, save for a few which we'll get to, are delivering this really synergistic blend of clinically proven technologies that are allowing you to treat more concerns with better results and faster. So you're not switching devices back and forth, you're stacking these modalities into one seamless treatment. It's going to be better for your clients, it's going to be better for your providers, and it's going to be better for your bottom line. So our 4 core technologies with T-Shape 2 are bipolar radio frequency, as was mentioned in the video. All of these are mentioned, and we're going to break them down even further. Bipolar radio frequency, low-level laser therapy, endodermic massage and vacuum suction, and then our mesospheric deep massage. On the next slide, I will cover off the 6 handpieces, but I'm just going to dive a little bit deeper into each of these core technologies. So bipolar radio frequency, this is not a new technology, it's not novel, right? But it is clinically proven, and we know that it works, and we know that it is safe. And so what bipolar radio frequency does is it delivers controlled thermal energy. And with the T-Shape 2, we have 4 selectable depths in which we can deliver that energy, which stimulates fibroblast activity as well as triggering collagen remodeling, which in turn results in skin tightening and lifting. So we do have those 4 selectable depths at which we are able to deliver the bipolar radio frequency. The first is 0.5 megahertz. That's going to be targeting deep sub-Q. 1 megahertz, which is going to be targeting more superficial sub-Q, and then the deep dermal layer, so the reticular layer, which is going to help in stimulating collagen and elastin. We have 1.5 megahertz, which is targeting the superficial dermal layer, the papillary, as well as stimulating collagen and elastin there. And then we have our 2 megahertz, which is for more superficial dermal and epidermal stimulation. So 1.5 to 2 megahertz is really, well, the only megahertz you're going to use on the face, just given that we don't want to impact facial volume. So we don't want to be going down to sub-Q in the face. We want to be just impacting that more superficial layer and giving that amazing collagen remodeling effect. For low-level laser therapy, what that does is it's stimulating the mitochondrial activity and really boosting ATP production in the cells, which helps to support cellular regeneration, improve circulation, as well as visibly change the contour of the body. So we're talking circumferential reduction, we're talking a visible improvement in silhouette, and just ultimate body sculpting. We have 2 wavelengths which we work with the T-Shape 2 in low-level laser therapy, which are 650 nanometers, which is red light LED for body and face, highly effective for enhancing skin health as well as cellular activity, and it also improves skin tone texture and collagen synthesis. We also have 980 nanometers for body only, and that's going to be targeting adipose tissue. That's going to support tissue remodeling, lymphatic flow, as well as muscle oxygenation. So something really important to note and something really exciting is that T-Shape 2 is completely colorblind. So it is safe for all fits types when it is applied correctly. Given that the RF is not targeting melanin and no chromophores involved, it also doesn't rely on any pigment selective energy. So T-Shape 2 is safe for all Fitzpatrick types. We then move on to our endodermic massage and vacuum suction. So you can see this a little bit in this diagram here. What this does is it uses 4 adjustable vacuum settings to help to enhance lymphatic flow, improve oxygenation of tissue, as well as support overall detoxification, all while lifting and firming the skin. So we have our 4 vacuum modes here. We have M1 through 4. So this moves from a continuous suction, so think a cupping type massage. That's really meant to target deeper tissue deposits. We then have M2, which is a pulsed slow suction for deep lymphatic massage. M3, which is more of a medium fast suction, which is going to allow for a more superficial lymphatic drainage. M4, which is pulsed fast suction, so more working on a toning effect there. And the focus with this is really to redistribute oxygen and then immediately increase that blood circulation. And last is our mesospheric deep massage. So this is our mesospheric handpiece, which features 45 360-degree rotating silicone spheres that are going to stimulate a deep tissue circulation as well as help reduce inflammation, break down lactic acid, as well as remove water retention, which is going to help in overall body contour as well as just general well-being for your clientele. Each of these technologies is really powerful on its own, but when they're layered, they work exponentially better. So now you get a view of our 6 handpieces. So we say proven technologies seamlessly combined. So what I'm going to go through from right to left. So as I just mentioned, our mesosphere handpiece, the technology here is a blend of compression as well as the generation of microvibration solely through that mechanical spinning rotation of the spheres. There is an intensity that can be changed on this, so the rotation can be increased or decreased. You can treat the whole body with this handpiece, and it is, again, comprised of those 45 silicone spheres. This is, other than the thermal imaging camera, the only handpiece that doesn't have multiple modalities and is not using any energy-based modality. This is a great handpiece to either use as an add-on before or after your main body shaping or skin tightening treatments. And it can also be used as a standalone treatment, as an amazing lymphatic massage, full body massage. Really great, especially for individuals who might have more edemacious cellulite or just more fluid retention. Also phenomenal for post-treatment recovery for those that are recovering from surgical procedures. Moving on to our roll handpiece. So our roll handpiece does include RF, LLT laser, as well as that vacuum, endodermic vacuum with suction. The treatment areas typically are the thighs and the buttocks, but these handpieces are incredibly customizable depending on what you're really looking to focus on. So it really just depends on the area, depends on the client, and it depends what your point of focus is. So this, again, is one of our combination handpieces. We then have our large and our medium multipolar handpieces. So those handpieces also combine RF, triple LT laser, and vacuum suction. So the large multipolar is typically indicated for more fibrous fat, as well as skin laxity. Again, it's really going to be dependent on those RF and LLT settings. The medium multipolar as well is indicated for smaller treatment areas, but it could also be used on larger treatment areas, just depending on your consultation of the client. We then have our thermal imaging camera. That is going to be another handpiece that is not delivering treatments, but it is actually helping in terms of our client consultation process and really showing the client the change in their tissue. So the thermal imaging handpiece is detecting 64 points of temperature to help to provide a thermal imaging scan of the treatment area so that the clients can actually see the uniformity in tissue temperature as it changes throughout the course of their treatments. Last but certainly not least is our facial multipolar handpiece. So that technology is RF along with the red light and the vacuum as well. So moving on, let's take a look at some before and afters so we can see this in action. So as you can see, the people that are going to love you the most, meaning your ideal candidates for this treatment, are going to be those individuals that are dealing with skin laxity, that are dealing with cellulite, and that are dealing with excess volume and some combination of those two, right? Also those looking to increase muscle tone, but again, those that are going to love you most and where you're going to position this treatment is skin laxity and cellulite reduction. So really, it's not just tech for tech's sake. Every setting, every combination, every treatment pathway has been clinically tested and is optimized for results. So these are non-invasive treatments, zero downtime. Clients are consistently reporting visible improvements in skin laxity, cellulite, and body shape. You can see, for example, that these results were achieved after just 3 treatments. However, our recommendation is typically a minimum of 6, but some may need 12 to 18, depending on what they're presenting with. Moving on to the next, you can see again, just in a short period of time, how incredible these results are and how quickly they can be generated on quick responders. So this is before and after 2 treatments, obviously focusing on skin laxity and skin tightening. This is after 1 treatment, so you can see again that visible increase in circulation, that visible smoothing and tightening of the skin. I will say, as with any radiofrequency treatment, and of course as with any mechanical lymphatic drainage suction treatment as well, you do see these initial results after 1 treatment. Again, we don't recommend selling out in single sessions. We really recommend packaging because that's how you're going to maximize your results based on our clinical studies. We do recommend that customers come in, or rather patients come in twice a week. If they can only come in weekly, that's absolutely fine. However, our clinical data is based on twice weekly treatments. This is another great example for cellulite. So you can see treatment 1, treatment 2, and treatment 3. So this would have happened in a 2-week period. This is one of my absolute favorites and is actually a personal story from one of our partners, so one of our actual business owners. She was trained on the device and she decided to use herself as a bit of a guinea pig. And I love that because I do also love to make myself a guinea pig in these types of situations. But she decided she really wanted to see for herself and she wanted to kind of balance the skepticism. So she said, you know what, I'm going to treat just the left side of me for 8 treatments, and I'm going to see what the differences are, right? So if you look at her before photo and then you look at the right side at her after photo, and you look at the difference between her left side and her left glute and leg from her right, you can really see that difference. And we thank her for her tribute here to really kind of taking a look and seeing what the potential is with this device. And also, of course, we highlight the face here. So amazing results here with collagen remodeling as well as skin tightening. Really helps with signs of aging as well as any laxity, particularly around the jawline. Can also help with double chin treatment as well. So some key clinical data to highlight for you all. T-Shape 2 isn't just visually impressive, as we saw in those before and afters from that social proof, but it's also clinically validated. So here are some of our key statistics from studies that have gone on in Italy, one of which is brand new and is about to be published, which we're very excited about. The key callouts I want to make here are the 23% increase of muscle to fat ratio after 10 treatments. So why is that so important? Because of what we spoke about before with semaglutides, right? So when we talk about semaglutides, we're talking as well as fat loss, we're talking about muscle loss. So if they're not actively working against that really diligently, they are going to see a decrease in their muscle volume. And that's not what we want, right? We want to have a nice maintenance of our muscle volume. And so what T-Shape 2 has showed is a 23% increase in muscle to fat ratio, which is a very strong outcome. As well as our new study, which shows a 30% improvement in skin laxity. This is very strong for a non-invasive procedure that involves no pain and no downtime, right? So there's no numbing cream, there's no gripping the bed. It feels very much like a warm to hot massage with a bit of suction as well, which is really lovely. So next, I'm going to walk you through a bit of what the device looks like in action. So we really want you to get that demo feel so you can kind of see just how easy the system is to use and what is really included in the treatments. So in walking through, you can see we've got a nice large touch screen here. And what that allows us to do is not only see, obviously, for some of us that are struggling with these teeny tiny screens, but also it is going to be essentially your GPS guide. So you'll see that as the technician is navigating through the protocols, there are automatic protocols for just about every indication that you're going to be treating with T-Shape 2. You can see that as they're navigating through, it's going to show them exactly which patterns they need to follow on the body, and it's going to go in exactly the correct sequence for exactly the right amount of time. So it just takes the guesswork out of doing these treatments. You'll see here that an RF solution does need to be added, so there is a consumable cost, although it is very low. Your consumables are going to include the RF solution. The multipolar handpieces also have single-use filters, and there are a couple of other consumables that you'll be using. Roughly, it's going to equal about $12 per treatment, which at a treatment that is typically priced at anywhere from $300 to $500 per session, it's quite a small expense comparatively to other devices on the market. So as you can see, this is a very large screen and it's at eye level for your providers. So especially if you're a location who has multiple providers and you're trying to streamline the treatment experience, you're going to see that this is going to be the best way to do it because it just takes the guesswork out. They don't have to remember, they just have to diligently go along with the guided protocols. So you can see here, and the handpiece that was being used before, these are our multipolar handpieces. So these are designed for soft tissue and cellulite and skin laxity. Again, it really just depends on the megahertz and that you're using with the RF. This is our roll handpiece. So you're going to see this working more so with soft tissue and cellulite as well. But you're going to see it on these larger areas like the glutes and the thighs. So you can see here, especially in this video, you can see the suction mode and how it's going to be creating that action on the tissue. Last but not least, we have our mesosphere handpiece. So this is showing you the either standalone or add-on treatment. Again, this is very, very powerful lymphatic drainage and tissue remodeling treatment and can be used either with our body shaping, sculpting, and tightening, or it can be used as a standalone. The device is pre-programmed with many automatic protocols. Again, as I mentioned, these should cover your majority of indications. On the screen, you may have seen that you also are able to adjust the intensity of the RF as well as the vacuum. And so you can really customize this based on your individual client or patient and what it is that they need and their individual comfort level. Here you're going to see the facial handpiece. So it is going to follow a hopefully very familiar lymphatic pattern for those of you that do any other facial treatments using devices. And this one is phenomenal as well for skin tightening, collagen remodeling, and lymphatic drainage, so helping to depuff. It's a fantastic treatment to have in your offering as well. So, show me the money. Let's get to the revenue numbers. So we have been completely blown away by the early US performance. So we launched our soft launch of T-Shape 2 in the US back in October of 2024. So relatively speaking, have been on the market in the US for some time, enough time to generate learnings, but definitely not a massive amount of time. So we've really seen our early adopters take the ball and run with it and have been just so proud of our community and what they've been able to achieve. So we really see our customers, we refer to them as partners. They are our partners. So we are not a sell and, a one and done. We're not a sell it to you and running the opposite direction. For us, we really see you as partners. We really also see this group as a community, and we build community in that way. So as you can see, some astounding performances, $329,000 in revenue generated off T-Shape alone in the first 9 months for one of our Newport Beach, California MedSpa partners. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had our new day one record breaker, which was a chiropractor's office in Chicago, Illinois, 75K plus. We had our 50K plus day one record holder in Covington, Louisiana, 43K plus in Belchast, Louisiana, 40K plus on day one in Hawaii, as well as 35K plus on day one in Berlin, Maryland. So really amazing performances. And this is just a handful of a very, very large group of performances of this nature. So we've gotten to this point and you're probably wondering, okay, tell me what's the offer, right? So we are still in our founding partnership phase. So we are still looking for our early US partners here. And our pricing at the moment is $96,000. That price will be rising on August 1st, so pretty soon here. The reason why we have that price at $96K at the moment is because we are offering tariff rebate. However, as we and many other businesses have been impacted by the tariffs, we will be raising that price on August 1. So if you are interested in this program, if you are interested in this device, you want to learn more, I really encourage you to reach out to our sales team ASAP so that if you are interested, they can get you in at that $96K price. However, regardless, we are prepaying our founding partners for 5 hours per month at $280 per hour for the first year. That means that year one, you are getting $1,400 per month wired to you by us. So that is, as we hope, gonna go towards your payments for the device. We'll also ask that for those 5 hours that you collaborate with us on UGC content, on before and after photos, demos. Really, this is just meant to funnel back into the ecosystem of the community. And we are really excited for all of the content that we have been generating from this offer and all the content that we'll be continuing to generate with every new partner we bring on. We also do offer a payback guarantee in this partnership, which is a huge benefit and one that I really haven't seen in this industry on the market very often. So the payback guarantee, what this means is that the guarantee is full term, so it lasts until you've earned more than the price of the device. The cost of the policy is that you have to report your revenue each month by emailing our support team. The coverage of this policy is if you make less than the machine costs, obviously excluding interest, we will cover the difference. So this is kind of a mapped out example. Year one, you will receive $1,400 a month. So that's our year one plan. From year two, we will guarantee that you will generate, based on that $96K cost of the device, that you'll generate $1,650 per month cumulatively. And if you don't, we will pay the difference. So that is our offer. And without further ado, I want to dive in to our panelists and why we're really here, right? We really want to just hear from these amazing ladies. So I am going to go ahead and introduce our panelists. I'm also going to ask them to join on camera as well as on speaker. And we have joining us today Dr. Bonnie Gaskett, who has 2 locations with T-Shape 2, Stacy Krzan, who is based in New Jersey, Heidi Mackey, who is based in Hawaii, as well as Anu Haynes, who is in Huntsville, Alabama. So if everyone can just jump on and join us. Thank you guys so much for joining. And I know we have Stacy, who's also going to jump on soon. So what I wanted to ask you all, and there's Stacy, perfect. So what I wanted to ask you all is, to get us started, what was it that originally made you interested in the device? How did you hear about it? What was your aha moment that had you say, okay, you know what, I'm actually going to give this a go? So Stacy, why don't you kick us off on this?
Sure. So we had heard just through the grapevine that Simon was looking at this new technology from Europe, and we were slightly intrigued. But when we heard actually about the level of investment he wanted to make, and having witnessed what he did for CryoSkin, KneeSkin, and Endospheres, I knew that he was pretty serious about making this a household name. And so that was originally what intrigued me. I subsequently went and visited an amazing provider in New York City, and immediately was just blown away by just the technology, the comfort of the treatment, and the immediate, results, interim results, for the first treatment.
Amazing. Heidi, can we hear a little bit from you on this point?
Yeah, I mean, mine was a little bit different. I'm a sole practitioner, so financial implications are always kind of a little more important. And I really wanted, this was going to be my very first high ticket item for my spa. So currently I was just offering facials, microneedling, and Botox. So this was a big leap of faith for me. And basically, after I looked at the data and then just kind of did a lot of research around before and afters, and for the other part was just the company's commitment and then being willing to back me on this, what kind of made it a no-brainer.
Amazing. Dr. G. Oh, Dr. G, I think you're on mute. Yeah, we'll come back to you. Anu, do you wanna go next?
Yeah, so I was first introduced, we had our corporate conference, so to speak, and Simon came in there with Molly, and that was the first time that I heard about the T-Shape. We've been doing body contouring about 3.5 years, and we have other machines, and really the one thing, the one piece that I was missing was something that treats cellulite, which is very, very hard to treat. And skin sagging. We also treat quite a few GLP-1 clients, so I knew that I had a need for it. But again, it was a big financial investment, like Heidi was saying. So I did my research on the technology. I talked to quite a few spa owners who at the moment had it, and the more I don't typically make this kind of purchases just on the fly. And so I did my research, and I decided to go for it. I do have to say another piece that was very ensuring is that the the customer service from the Artemis, it's a big deal. Like, your machine can be the best of the best, but if you don't get the support from the company, then it's a no-brainer for me. So that's kind of, and I'm glad I did. I think everybody should, because it is one piece, like what you said, that really there's nothing in the US market right now that compares to it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And then Dr. G, I see you're back. Can we hear you now? No. We'll try to sort it out for you. Maybe I'll have Katie go in and try to unmute you when she joins again. But I'm just going to move on to the next question, which is if you guys can just talk to me a little bit about what your other offerings are and how you're positioning T-Shape in with it. So just talk to me a little bit about the type of business that you run. Obviously, Heidi, you already touched on this, and you as well. But this is a question that we get a lot from people who are curious about T-Shape too, and how is it going to fit in with our offering? So Stacey, if you want to just kick us off and give us a little bit of the background of your business, as well as the other services you offer and where T-Shape 2 fits in.
Sure. So we do just non-invasive contouring for face and body. And when we brought T-Shape in initially during our Elevate and launch day with Artemis, we actually did more of a soft launch where we only launched it to our existing client database because we wanted to get belief and some trial and error before we went wide publicly. So what ended up happening is that our clients that have been doing body shaping with Nu Skin were so impressed that this actually felt great. But what was really interesting is that they were, because it works so great with like loose skin and cellulite, it opens up this whole other area of like legs and arms. So some of our clients have had surgery before on their abdomen or on their back. But to do surgery on your arms and legs was just, that's 2 incisions. And so those clients, it was really interesting because we didn't actually promote it for arms and legs, but that's actually what most of our existing clients had wanted. And then it just opens up the can of worms of just, it feels really great. And now everybody that has loose skin and cellulite, which because of GLPs and everything else, it's everyone, right? So that's kind of how we launched it into our existing clients and are able to attract new clients. And it became more of this higher end experience. So we kind of consider like the Nu Skin and it's like more the classic experience. And then the T-shaped clients, they generally are more emotionally, I would say, concerned with the treatment because they've had cellulite and loose skin and they've just like literally no options for it. And so those clients generally, our T-shape clients generally come twice a week and the results are just night and day. So I would say it's more of a higher end experience. And
I think my microphone's working.
It is.
Praise Jesus. So I didn't mean to cut her off. If you were finished, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead, Dr. G.
So my experience with the machine, the reason I found it is actually I was Googling and kind of looking to renew my previous endermology. I had LPG endermology, which was the French technology. I had that machine from 2013 until, well, I still have it. It's just sitting in my office. But I was trying to update that machine. And I think the AI algorithm must have noticed what I was doing. And so, boom, T2 popped into my Facebook or whatever. So I signed up and I said, let me get some more information about this. And the thing about me is that I already knew the technology. I knew the results that I was getting with the endermology, with the vacuum therapy, and I had already had experience with the radio frequency and the lasers and things like that. So I knew, I didn't even care what anyone at Artemis told me. Like, I already knew I wanted it. And from that point, I'm an internal medicine physician, but I have a focus in hormone replacement, like I specialize in hormone replacement for men and women. And so in addition to my aesthetics part, I already knew I had a pool of patients that were perimenopausal, menopausal, people that were sent to me from GI doctors for IV infusions and vitamins and all of those things. Like, I already had, like, if I sat down in one sitting, I could come up with 100 people that I knew were mostly local, mostly had the means, and would be interested in a non-invasive, what I call the zhuzhing, from their previous efforts. These people with gastric bypasses or gastric sleeves, they have a lot of loose skin. And you were talking about the roller head device and being used mainly on the legs and the butt. I use that sucker on my people that still have a lot of fat, like globular fat left on their tummies. So I had a pool of patients that I literally just put a post, sent a DM, hey, I know we're doing our menopause thing. Let's get the face zhuzhed. Hey, I know you've lost 60 pounds last year. We definitely need to tighten the things. And so before the event even happened, I had sold 32,000 in sales. And then the day of the event, I think I did like maybe 14,000 or something like that. And then that week more. And then since then, I've gotten referrals. I have a couple of people that haven't even finished their packages yet, that have already bought the next one because they want a different body part. So for me, the effort up front was very like energetic. I was motivated, and the problem right now, which is a good problem to have, is that in New Orleans I have only one room, and between myself and my staff, only 3 people to operate the machine. In Florida, I have only one room for the machine, for any machine, and there's just 2 of us here in Florida. So I have a bottleneck because it's popular. So I actually stopped promoting it for right now because I can't get them in for a while. So I'm going to do another, what I call like a relaunch package special, to get the people off of the wait list that I have. So it's been nice, with the exception of the complaints like, oh, we want you to do the session. We want you to do the, and that's literally my problem. It's like the pain in my.
I was gonna say, Dr. G, what a great problem to have.
It's painful.
Having to stop promoting because it's so popular that you can't get them in is a great problem to have. And we might have to get
22. Yeah, it's a catch-22. I think Simon should give me another machine.
I was going to say, we might have to get you a third device over there. So pivoting a little bit, actually, and Dr. G, you just mentioned this as far as your performance. I've got all of your performances here in front of me. So Anu, her team did over 51,000 in their first week of launching the device. Stacy has seen incredible revenue growth overall as far as all across the board, but increased in 39,000 in first week. We also had Heidi do over 40,000 in one day. So I actually kind of want to pivot over to you, Heidi, because I think you do represent a really a really valuable insight, being someone who brought a high ticket item on for the very first time, right? This is your first foray into a device at your location. How did you do that type of a performance with that in mind?
So before I started in body contouring, sorry, I have a really nasty cold right now, but I had a pretty good foundation. I have been in business for about 3 years. And I had a good following of Botox and facial and microneedling clients. And that kind of speaks to one of the main reasons why I did choose the T-shape, is because it did have the capabilities to do facial rejuvenation. So I had never done body contouring before, so I didn't have a client pool for that. I didn't know how my patients were going to respond, or even if they would be interested. And I'm asking them to go from spending, $200 to $200 on a facial to now $400, $450 on a T-shape. So I really focused on the facial side of it and really creating a lot of excitement. Like I had for about 6 weeks prior, I had the big T-shaped kind of poster thing that we have. And I named her Sheila. And so when people would come in, it would be kind of a fun conversation. And then people were just genuinely very curious. So my lead up to the launch was, like I said, about 4 to 6 weeks. So when I finally announced, I had such an overwhelming response that I basically worked for, I think, 15 hours the first day. We started seeing clients at 6:30 in the morning and didn't end until almost 11 o'clock at night. And it was just back to back all day long, and people could not get enough. I mean, just with the 15, 20-minute demos that we were doing, they were just elated. And it's really continued. So kind of along the same lines as what Dr. G said, now I've expanded, I'm in a new location, plus I also expanded my other location. I've bought another machine and I'm contemplating buying another one. So, if anybody's wondering, does this work? Yes, it does. And the results are phenomenal. But the other thing I'd like to touch base on is I'm in Haleiwa, Hawaii. So if you're not familiar, it's the main island of Oahu, and I'm in about an hour and a half from Honolulu. I'm the only person on the island that has this machine, so it does kind of set a little precedent. But I have people driving like 2 hours to come and get these treatments. And I've also been able to tap into a market that I never thought was possible. So now I'm doing all my face clients, and all of those people have now converted to buy body packages, and all of those people have told all their friends, and then they've told their friends, and then this, and then this, and then this. And so it's been absolutely amazing. But my one problem is I'm only me. And so hiring people has been a little bit of a difficult, because I'm not used to doing that. And again, like what Dr. G said, then when you hire people, people are like, well, I don't want that person to do the treatment. I only want you to do the treatment. I could cut myself in like 4 sections, right? And just send me all to a different group. But yeah, I mean, that's been my experience with it.
Amazing. I mean, you're both just too good is really the problem. You're just too good. That's amazing. And thank you so much for sharing all of that, Heidi, because I think it's so relatable for so many beauty business owners and med spa owners, aesthetic owners. Just breaking into the body contouring market can feel a bit intimidating and a bit daunting, especially with that price differential too. Anu, because I know that you were, it's funny because I remember during your launch week, I think you hadn't gotten everything through yet. And I think you were at, 47K, and you were like, I'm disappointed. We didn't do too great yet. And I just want to know, what was your kind of plan of action going into launch with T-Shape 2? How did you promote it? And kind of how did you end up generating that amazing number that you ended up with at the end of that week?
Yeah, so I want to go back to the question just a little bit, like, okay, so if you have other devices, why adding T-Shape? Because that was one of my concerns, is like, I didn't want to get a machine that competes what I already have. Yeah. And I have Morpheus for skin texture issues. I have CryoSkin for fat pockets and cryopolysis. I have an EMS device for sculpting, but I really did not have one for cellulite and sagging skin. And that's where this machine is really going to come into. Now, we still package them because a lot of people have all of those issues, which is the beauty of having all those machines. But anyway, so there's that. So the launch week, kind of the same thing like what Heidi was saying, is that we've been doing this for 3.5 years now. So we have a really, really healthy client base. And so we didn't really market it at all. We just talked about it in the spa. We got all the spots filled. We were doing the $20 thing. Now, looking back, hindsight, we probably could have even put it $50, because pretty much everybody showed up, because it was just the buzz was there. And then we were doing before and after pictures, even with one treatment. I mean, it just sold it itself. But again, same problem what Dr. G was saying, what Heidi was saying, is like, then you sell all these, then you only have one machine, you only have one room. So we did not actually start marketing it, paid marketing, until somewhere in May, because it was just, we were backed up. If somebody comes in for paid marketing, it's like, yeah, your first appointment is going to be in 3 weeks, and it's
Right.
summer is coming. So yeah, good problem to have, but it's fully booked every single day, and it's because it works. It really does. But you have to have staff to do it. You have to have providers to do it. You know, that's the flip side of it. It's just growing pain,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Definitely. And it's funny, Simon, our CEO and founder, always mentions this, and I forgot to mention it on this call, which is that in Europe, they actually refer to T-Shape 2 as a slot machine because of the fact that it's booking out treatment rooms in the way that you guys are talking about. I mean, this is my favorite panel of problems ever. This is so good. So what I wanted to ask you guys, and I won't call out anyone in particular if you guys want to just kind of volunteer, but I really want to know, especially from, those of you that are actually, providing the treatments, how is the treatment being received by your clients? I know some of you guys have mentioned it, already, but I really want to know what is it that they're feeling about it? What are they noticing? What are they loving the most? How are they comparing it to other treatments that maybe they've received in the past? Dr. G, did you want to jump in?
So yeah, so I get a little bit of different feedback from men and from women for the body. The men complained first when we're, because I'll do like chest, abdomen, back. Some of them are getting arms and face. When they get everything done, or when they get a lot done in one day, the men started complaining first that they were very tired after, and they would have to go home and take a nap. And I'm like, basically, you have the man cold. So I make sure they stay hydrated, and I tell them, like, that's fine. It's kind of like you had a mini workout, so they just go take a nap. And I remind them that their body's filtering all of the fat cells that I broke down and all of that. And then after the guys complained of that, then the women, they enjoyed their nap time. They're like, "Ooh, I got a good nap." So they experienced that their body had some type of a workout, which was neat. I didn't even think about that, so that was great. But a lot of them, including myself, you can see a little bit of probably some water weight loss on the first session. They would notice the method that I used, because again, I had the LPG years ago, and I have my own technique as far as what I call like firming the butt, or just like that lifting. So I'll do a certain type of treatment, and so they'll notice like some fluffing. I call it the fluffing. They'll notice a little bit of that the first day, but they also, I say, pay attention, because over the week, you're going to start feeling firm and firmer. And so I do get that feedback. With the arms, I kind of modify what I do there, and they're seeing the outline of their muscles a little bit sooner. So they do talk about that. The face has been a little bit of a difficult spot with some people, and I know it's because of their diet. A lot of New Orleanians, they don't listen. So I have to get on them more about their diet and less alcohol intake. But for the most part, I'm getting really great, more immediate feedback for the body. The cellulite patients, I have my pear-shaped ladies, I'm noticing it's not until session 4 or 5 that I'm getting like, oh, I can see. I don't have to look at their pictures anymore. I'm like, oh, I can see it. So I preface the start of those packages with, look, don't necessarily look for something every day, but by session 4 or 5, I'm going to start pointing out like your before and afters, like this is great, this is great. And most, I would say 95% of my people are definitely by session 4, all of them are saying like, yes, it definitely works,
Amazing. That's so great. Yeah. And for cellulite, that makes so much sense. Yeah. Anu, did you want to jump in, or did someone jump in?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because sometimes, for all those reasons that what she was saying, is that after the first one, after the treatment, it can actually look like worse. And then you just kind of have to tell them, it's like, look, don't freak out, it's just wait a couple of days. But what we have seen is the sweet spot really, even the people that don't respond to it right away, it's like the 6 to 8 sessions.
And
even those that don't get the response in the first like 4 or 5. For whatever reason, when they hit that 6 to 8, is like that's when it really kind of starts happening.
And to that point, when I sell a package, and for whoever else is on here that's kind of wondering, like, how do you do packages? I refuse to sell anything less than a 12-pack now. If they can't afford the 12-pack, I either say, let's use the Affirm, let's break it up into 2 sessions. You can buy the 6-pack now with the understanding that you will be buying the next one because you may not see results until 6. And if you don't do the next 6-pack, you're going to just regress and you're going to be wasting money. So I do minimum 12-pack, and I say best case scenario by session 8 or session 10, we have a couple or 2 or 4 left over for a maintenance at month, number 3 or maybe a little bit later, depending on their lifestyle. So, but minimum 12-pack.
Yeah, 100%. And then Stacey, do you want to jump in? And then Heidi, I want to hear from you as well from your client's perspective. And then I just have one last question for you all. I know we're running low on time, but hopefully we'll get some folks sticking around for the last question after this.
It's really life-changing for women, like, women that are in their 50s, 60s, they've been healthy, active, and all of a sudden gravity and genetics and aging just shows up on your arms and legs. And so these women are just really profoundly moved by just the changing in the texture of their skin. So they're, they don't have to wear as many layers to like smooth out their areas. They're saving time getting dressed in the morning because they don't have to think about like all their undergarments and where it's bumpy. And arms and legs, that's, your extremities, you almost can't hide that in the summer. Whereas your stomach, there's so many ways to be creative about hiding that. So, for healthy, most of the women, they're like really healthy. They live really great lives, and it's just gravity, age, and genetics. And it's truly life-changing. And to be able to see these women that are like fitness instructors and nutrition instructors wearing shorts for the first time in 10 years, amazing. So I'm really grateful for you guys bringing this to us.
Yeah, and I've seen some of your, in particular, Stacey's client texts, and some of them do really move you to tears. They're really impactful. Heidi, do you want to go ahead and tell us what your clients have been saying?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Like my women are super happy. Just to what Stacey was saying, I see a lot because we live in the land of bikinis, so it's not as much drastic of, loss of size, but improvement in skin quality. So just getting that extra blood flow to the area. But I did want to say, in regards to what Anu was saying and Dr. G, in regards to setting expectations at the very beginning, I can't speak enough that if you don't do that, your patients are not going to continue. They're going to give up, and you have to set realistic expectations because it is true. I see on the WhatsApp thing all the time, people posting before and afters after their first or second visit. I'm like, oh dear Lord, why are you doing this? Like, it's true. A lot of times they will look worse before they look better. And if you don't set that expectation in the beginning, you're kind of setting your patients up to fail. So it's very important to do that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's so important. And I love that Dr. G is bringing down the hammer on that minimum 12 sessions too, because ultimately what we want is for our clients to get the best possible result, right? And really managing expectations, it is huge. And also, if you think about it, if they're coming in at that recommended time frame, 12 sessions, that's 6 weeks, right? So if you can see a tremendous change in your body, where to Stacey's point, you're wearing shorts for the first time in 10 years, in 6 weeks, like sign me up for like 5 times over. It's really, when you think about it in that, from that perspective as well of time investment, like it really does make a difference. All right, guys, so the last question I'm going to ask all of you that I love to ask partners in our community, because there's just such amazing feedback on this, is what are we'll go through each of you, top 3 pieces of advice to other entrepreneurs in this space? I know, Stacey, I've asked you this probably 16,000 times, so you'll have to come up with either your kind of something else. So Heidi,
can I start? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Stacey, you can start.
get to start right away for volume, because I think one of the questions Delaney asked is like, what would you have done differently? I would have planned better and not have held it as like the best kept secret, because just get to, I think some of you guys already have two, and so maybe, I have two. It waited 9 months apart between our second T-shape arrived, and I wish I would launch with two at the very beginning and ready to potentially start with my next set.
Amazing. All right, Dr. G, top 3 pieces of advice.
So I would second that, to get two machines. Advice for this space. I would say, and again, this is just from my background because I know the technology works, is when you sell it, don't get the machine if you don't believe in the technology, but when you sell it, you're telling your patient, like, look, I wholeheartedly know, like, biologically and functionally, this thing, you have no choice but to actually have improvement. I would stick to my guns about the price point. Do maybe some research around your area. They have some people that might have, for instance, Morpheus down the street, and they're charging a crap ton of money, but that thing is painful. There's no way you can provide enough numbing to actually make this a comfortable, safe situation. So know that your device is something that people actually enjoy. It's very effective. So stick to your price point for the packages. And when they say, oh, that's very expensive, you say, oh, because it works very well. I've had some pushback with it, but for the most part, you keep it as a high-end product, because this is a high-end situation. Avoid surgery in most parts. So stick to your price point. I like to get two machines at once, because right now we're busy from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Like, it's ridiculous. And then, yeah, again, because I'm at a bottleneck because of the space that I have and the number of people I have trained. But if you start with two and you plan a little bit better, because we're all stateside, we're all new to this, right? To the popularity of it. I would train more people, I would get two, and I would market the shit out of it, because I'm at the bottleneck right now. And so I've literally stopped marketing because I don't want those upset people. So better planning up front would be my last piece.
Amazing. Thank you. All right, Heidi, over to you. And then Anu, we'll cap off with you.
So mine's a little bit different because it is more based towards sole practitioners and people that didn't have experience with body contouring. So I would say if you've never treated body contouring as a practitioner, go somewhere and get a T-shaped treatment so you can actually feel it, understand it, and target your area that you want, because that's what I did. And I lost a ½ inch in both legs after one treatment, and that's all I needed to see. And I was like, this is amazing, I'm gonna do it. And then, the person that I went and had the treatment with is Jody. I think most of us know her. I love her dearly, but she kept telling me to have a growth plan. And to be honest, I thought she was full of it. I was like, okay, whatever, and I kind of hit myself now for not doing that. So I would really, really, truly have a growth plan, especially if the closest T-shape to you is a couple states apart. You are going to get busy. I don't know about buying two, because in the beginning, if somebody would have told me that, I'm a one-room provider, so I would have said, I don't know if I can afford that. But I mean, for bigger practices, I would agree. And then the last is be willing to dedicate all of your time to the T-shape, because it's going to take over your practice. It did mine. And then one last thing, which would be number 4, but book yourself time off. I didn't do that either. And as a sole practitioner, I wasn't taking lunches. I was working from sunup to sundown. And after 3 months of that, I made a ton of money, but I was wiped. And my husband was ready to kill me. He was like, what are you doing? He liked the money. He was like, you're dead. So anyways, that's my advice.
Thank you so much, Heidi. And I love your 4th one. I think that's so important as well. And something longevity is important. It's important, sustainability. All right, Anu, over to you. What are your 3 top pieces of advice?
I mean, I have to say it's the same thing, is like, because that was the same thing. I didn't know what to expect. So I didn't know, like, if we were going to be busy, if we're not going to be busy. And now, knowing what happened to us, listening everybody else, is like, if you get this machine, even if you get 1 or 2 or 3, you have to plan so that it will be booked all day long. Because if you don't, like I did not know this is how it's going to go, then you ended up losing revenue, because like what Dr. G was saying is like you have to stop marketing. Your staff is completely worn out. Now they're leaving. Now you have to hire new staff. And every time those things happen, it's lost revenue. So just plan your staffing, your training, your however many machines you have, that it will be fully booked back to back to back.
Absolutely. Yeah, start with the end in mind. It's always the best way to plan for that accelerated growth. Well, thank you all so much. You've been so amazing to volunteer your time, and really appreciate it, and just I'm so grateful to have you all as part of this amazing community. Thank you for all that have stayed on. Actually, quite a few attendees have stayed on, so thank you guys. And we will circulate this recording to those that could not join live. And I hope to hear from you all soon. If you are interested in T-Shape 2, please do email us at sales@artemis.co. And I hope to speak to everyone soon. Thank you all so much. Bye. Everyone.
Thank you.